Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start off by telling you that this Friday there will not be a live stream. I don't know if I'll have one later on today or tomorrow to make up for it, but there won't be one this Friday. Now this says it all, ladies and gentlemen. No more American dream. Illegals are leaving Sanctuary City, Chicago, due to harsh living conditions. And where they're going is what's really going to surprise you. Now listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Illegals who crossed the border and were bused to Chicago are instead turning back and regretting their decision, as the situation in the Windy City, i.e. Chicago, is no longer conducive for them. Now, where they're going is what's going to surprise you, because it surprised me. And here they go over a brief story about a family whose last name is the Castellons. The Castellons arrived in Chicago in June and managed to rent an apartment through a city voucher program that gives up to $15,000 in assistance for up to 6 months. Man, ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't that be nice if our homeless veterans were able to take advantage of that? But I digress. But when the money ran out, the family gave up their living space. Since then, the family has been sleeping on the floors of police stations and shelters. Incredible. Castellon found a job in construction and was getting paid in cash, but realized that this wasn't enough to pay rent and sustain his family. Worse, his work permit had been taking too long to arrive. After 5 months of rough living, the Castellons packed up their belongings and returned to their home country. They didn't go to a different state. They didn't go to a warmer state. They went back to their home country, ladies and gentlemen. That surprised me when I read that part. The American dream, the Castellons say, is over. It no longer exists. There is nothing here for us, they say. Incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, I've been telling you all this time that the United States is going to turn into a third world country. I personally believe that we are currently a second world country, no longer a first. But when you have illegal immigrants coming into this country and deciding to leave it and go back to their native country because there is no hope here for them, that says a lot. I'm not a financial advisor, but the folks at Genesis Gold Group specialize in helping those who want to diversify their excess wealth by converting their fiat currency retirement plans into a plan that is backed by real money. So if you're in a position where you are wondering what you can do in order to diversify or insulate your wealth against what I like to call the inferno of inflation, give Genesis Gold Group a call and they can provide you with the information that you need in order to make an educated decision. Once again, thank you very much, Genesis Gold Group, for sponsoring this video. How many more months of living in the streets will it take? No more, he says. It's better that I leave. At least I have my mother back home. We just want to be home. If we're going to be sleeping in the streets here, we'd rather be sleeping in the streets over there, he says about his native land. And ladies and gentlemen, again, that says a lot about the despair that is amongst our country, the United States of America, that illegal immigrants are deciding to go back to their native land. It's a heck of a shame. I asked a few videos ago that if anyone from Ohio has an update on what's going on in East Palestine 9 months after that terrible accident or burn off of chemicals, to let me know. And I got an email this morning, so thank you very much to the person that sent me this. And it's actually dated yesterday, so it's very recent. And it says that there is still no word on disaster declaration for East Palestine. And ladies and gentlemen, why do I go over this? Because you have to understand that this is very important. You have to understand that the government is not going to come to help you when things really get bad. Did you just listen to what I said about the Castellones? They decided to go back to their country because they say there's nothing here for them. Well, when things really get bad here in the United States, do you really think that anyone is going to come to your rescue? You need to do now, put those things in place now, like the Castellones were talking about their home country, that they have family, have community, have your church here. That way, when things get really bad, you have a network of people that you can rely on and that can rely on you. I'm not going to read through this article. I will leave the link to all of these articles that I'm visiting so that you can revisit them later on if you like. But I wanted to go ahead and show you this, that there is still no disaster declaration. And why is that important? It's important because with a disaster declaration, the federal government can give more resources to the area that is affected. And the person who sent me this sent me an email as well saying, hey, we haven't heard anything about this in the news. We haven't heard that they're doing anything to better the situation. People are still feeling sick and getting sick. But if you were to read this article right here, ladies and gentlemen, they pretty much say that, hey, things are looking pretty good for East Palestine, when in reality, the people that are there on the ground have a different outlook as to what the people that work for the three-letter agencies, i.e. the government, have. Now, if you told me that you live near or in East Palestine, Ohio, and you still don't have a water filtration system, I wouldn't believe you. But if for some reason, ladies and gentlemen, you're still trusting the word that the water is safe to drink, I can't tell you that it's not, because I haven't personally tested it. But I don't need to test the water where you live to tell you that I believe it is a great idea, all right? And it is pertinent that you get yourself a water filtration system. The IEA, ladies and gentlemen, raises oil demand outlook for 2023 and 2024. Why is it important that you understand what this is all about? It's because throughout the last 10 or so years, or maybe more, we have been taken for more than 7, I would say even more than $10 trillion in order to fight this climate change thing that supposedly human beings cause. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so listen to this. Despite concerns about the economy, global oil demand continues to exceed expectations, according to the IEA, which raised its demand growth forecast for both 23 and 24. Global oil consumption continued to be strong in September with a record high Chinese demand of 17.1 million barrels per day, the IEA said. Now, what does climate change have to do with oil demand, right? Oil consumption. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after all of the trillions of dollars that has been taken away from humanity over the past several years, you would think that oil demand would be lower. Because aren't we spending all of this money on climate change so that we can use less fossil fuels? But oil demand continues to go up and up and up. Where's all this money going? We, as humanity, have been bamboozled with this climate change. Due to an all-time high Chinese monthly demand fueled by the petrochemical sector and resilient consumption in the United States, the agency revised up its 2023 oil demand growth forecast to 2.4 million barrels per day, up from 2.3 million barrels per day. And of that 2.4, China accounts 1.8 million barrels. Why isn't China being made to pay all of these carbon taxes, ladies and gentlemen? Because China don't care about climate change. You know why? Because they probably know that it is not man-made. They probably know that it is a cyclic thing with the weather patterns as far as the earth goes. I have to digress because I'm probably going to get in trouble. I already had a video demonetized, ladies and gentlemen, a couple days ago. So let me see if I can stay out of their radar. And it says here, ladies and gentlemen, that this year so far, 277 banks have closed, coming second to 2020 when 325 branches closed. Branch openings were only 8 in 2023, as opposed to the 277 banks that closed. So we have a delta of about 269 closures complete after you count in the 8 that actually open. What does this mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means that your money, in my opinion, is not safe in the bank. If it were me, I would take whatever I can that I don't need to have in the bank and convert it into real money, gold and silver. And the last thing that we're going to talk about today is money again. Sovereign debt is eating the world, and things are going to get pretty spicy here coming up. So I hope that you are taking care of your finances just as much as you are taking care of your preparedness plan, ladies and gentlemen. Your finances should be part of your preparedness plan. Sovereign debt is eating the world, lining up a financial crash that could make 2008 look like a picnic, and I believe that it will. I think that'll make 1929 look like a picnic, ladies and gentlemen, so you better hold down to your trousers, because when this financial system finally goes, it's going to be a resource problem, and many people are going to expire. They will no longer be in this physical earth. The story begins in the 1970s when Nixon broke the global gold standard, unleashing permanent deficits worldwide. But the latest chapter starts in 2008 when central banks bailed out the financial system by effectively printing trillions of dollars. Everyone thinks that the Fed only printed like $700 billion during 2008. No, ladies and gentlemen, it ended up being trillions and trillions, more than $10 trillion that they ended up funneling to banks all over the world. At the time, everybody knew that much printing would cause inflation, perhaps with a 12 to 18 month delay. But it didn't really. Why? Because banks held on to the free trillions of dollars to plug the $1 trillion size holes in their balance sheets. Combined with a freebie, China's manufacturing miracle lowered the cost of consumer goods. So we didn't really experience much inflation during 2008. But inflation always catches up with you sooner or later. And how is it feeling right now, ladies and gentlemen, with inflation, where about 99% of Americans cannot afford or do not qualify to buy a home because of what they make in comparison to what the homes cost? So what does this mean for the dollar? There's a weird paradox where nobody wants the dollar, but it's doing just fine. The paradox is that even while countries flee the dollar, it's holding its value just fine. Since 2001, the dollar's steady and in fact has risen over the past year. But the value of the dollar, I believe, has hit a ceiling and is now going to be coming down as a trend. Why, they say? Because the road to dollar death is paced with the corpse of other weaker currencies. Essentially, as the world falls apart, investors flee to the biggest currency, which is the dollar. So they're saying that if the dollar is so weak, and we can see it here in the US because of inflation, the inflation of prices, then why is it that other countries want to buy the dollar? Well, because the dollar is pretty much what they're saying here is the cleanest shirt in your dirty hamper. To illustrate, we have two theoretical ways to stop a crisis: fiscal and monetary. Yep. Fiscal meaning dramatically reducing government spending, perhaps starting to pay off debt. That's not going to happen. There's no way that they're going to reduce government spending. Why? Because spending in a debt-based system is what gives the government power, ladies and gentlemen, over you. When they can't spend in excess because we're using real money, i.e. gold and silver, then it gives the people the power. And monetary meaning reduces the ability for central banks to finance those deficits via inflation, meaning that the central banks can no longer finance the government, or if they want, they can finance the government and the government can keep spending. Those are the two solutions, fiscal and monetary. This brings us to the most likely solution: drain the Fed, meaning people shift into gold or Bitcoin or non-fiat commodity-backed currencies. But if you don't like cryptocurrencies, that's fine. Buy gold and silver, right? This takes the livestock off the table. Their dollars can no longer be diluted or siphoned to finance government spending. So pretty much what he's saying the solution is that we get out of the system, something that we've been talking about for a very long time. And he finishes off by saying, don't lose hope. A storm is coming because of our leaders' hubris, recklessness, and hunger for power. But on the other side is a radically smaller government and a radically expanded space for innovation, community, and liberty. And I think what he means is freedom. In short, hard times are coming, but it's beautiful on the other side. And that's why I say, ladies and gentlemen, do not stop preparing, because we will be heading to another side. We will be heading to a new paradigm or a new era in time. Call it what you may, but we are going to go to a place that we've never been to in generations, and you have to be prepared for when you get there. But first, you have to make it there. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in. Remember that this Friday there will not be a live stream, but I'll try to have a video out for you all. But there will be a live stream next Friday, the 24th. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out. Oupes has started their Black Friday sale, and their prices are very, very good. Now, Oupes is coming out with a new solar generator that they don't currently have. So if you want to wait until about the 20th or so of this month before you make a purchase of one of their current Oupes solar generators, then by all means, because this new one that they're coming out with definitely plays in a specific niche of what people want, especially if you're an RVer or something like that. However, the lineup that they have now currently, in my opinion, is an outstanding lineup at outstanding prices. I know that people get upset when they're like, AP, you continue to talk about this Oupes thing in all your videos. But if I don't talk about it, ladies and gentlemen, people won't know about it. In addition to the prices that you see right here on the screen, you can take 10% off if you use my link, and also my 10% off coupon that's going to be for a limited time, only until I think the 25th or the 26th of this month.